Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Neumann. I'm Technology Evangelist at Heraeus, and today I'm going to present you a few of our products with relation to the hydrogen economy, especially precious metals-based catalysts. I also want to tell you a little bit about the scarcity of those materials. Heraeus is a precious metals company with its foundations already 400 years back, so we come out of a pharmacy and then developed ourselves into very interesting. Hello. Here we go. We developed ourselves from this family-owned company, and right now, as a precious metals-based company, you have a lot of sales with only a few employees. In this case, there are 30 billion of sales with about 16,000 employees. And today I would like to focus a little bit on our precious metals part. But we're a global technology company active in a lot of different areas. Okay, here we go. Precious metals, and we deliver all of the precious metals, including gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and also the bimetals that you have, the very special ones. And iridium is the most special one and the most scarce one, in a way. The core of our precious metals operation, and we do everything here. So we trade those metals, recycle those metals, and we make products out of these metals. So this is really the key foundation. So this goes into every industry, not only the hydrogen industry. If you take a look, what are the products that we are doing? We are really serving the chemical industry, automotive industry, semiconductor industry, where you also need some precious metals directly in the heart of the chip, but also we do some luxury. When you take a look, what are those products? On the upper left here, you can see chemical products, and the upper left one definitely is an oncology medication already. So you see it's a broad spectrum of everything. We make a lot of chemical catalysts and also catalyst gauges which you use in the burning of ammonia towards nitric acid, which is a very important intermediate step to actually make fertilizers. We are active in emission catalysts, we have functional materials, and we do also some coatings. Today we're going to talk about the lower left one, which is hydrogen systems, and I would like to show you a few of the products that we have in this area. And the products directly start from electrolyzer catalysts, but we also do materials to coat bipolar plates. We help to purify the hydrogen afterwards. We have products for producing ammonia. We help for methane, methanol, and LOHC catalysts. And in the end, you already see PEM fuel cell catalysts. That's the counterpart of the electrolyzers. Let's discuss electrocatalysts for the electrolyzers a little bit more, because here we also see a few topics that might impede the, let's say, rollout on a huge commercial scale for these materials. Yeah? So I skip over the lower left one because you've seen it in the talk before. I think pretty much everyone knows in this room how fuel cell and electrolyzer cell looks like. The most important part is you need a very high utilization, especially on the catalyst-coated membrane of the precious metals. This means don't bury too much precious metals where the precious metals are not active, which also means either you make the particles smaller, which then hampers the stability of the system, or you make the particles less available if you are not doing the coating right. And you have to really optimize the system that you have the most area of the precious metals visible to your electrochemical system. The problem with the iridium for the electrolyzers in the end is very, very important. The primary source of all iridium in the world is South Africa. And 90% of all the iridium comes as a byproduct of the platinum mining out of 1 or 2 mines. There's a little bit still in Russia, Zimbabwe, and forget about North America. there's something happening in one of those mines, and you can see this with the scenario 2018 to 30, where you have a drop in 2020. This was because there was a labor law, fight, and also energy outages in South Africa, which seriously impacted the availability of this material. And when you see the output there, and you consider that you have a constant need in the industry for this material, you can also turn around this and tell about the price that you have to pay for the iridium at that time. So it's very important to make use of most of the iridium that you can have that's available to make these application even possible. And if you now take a look what we would need for the chemical electrolyzers, if we would like to have 70 gigawatts of PEM capacity, then we would need 30 tons with today's technology of the available 70 tons that are produced today. Sadly, out of the 72 tons that are available today, only 12 are available because all the other applications already need it. So either you find a way to overcome this, or you need to improve your catalyst systems. And the catalyst system is easy to improve from today's standards, but you have to take extreme care that the materials stay as robust as possible. Because even if they're active on day 1 or day 2, that does not necessarily mean that they're still robust and active on day 720. Yeah? And what you would actually need for catalyst loading reduction is about a factor of 4, alone from the standpoint of what you see here, by the availability of the material. Everything that you add to this is just pure luxury and decreases the cost of the electrolyzers and makes it more competitive against the existing technologies like alkaline. Okay, so how does the first generation catalyst look like? And these are the materials that have been used in the early Siemens electrolyzers from, I would say, in the 90s. Well, since we are supplying these materials, I would say, since over 20, 30 years now in this industry, and the first one was really in iridium black. What you actually do is you have a iridium chemical, and then you use a reduction mechanism in aqueous environment, and you reduce it to very fine scale nanoparticles that are in the order of, let's say, a few nanometers to maybe 20 max. And that's called iridium black. Now, in this very small ball, 10 nanometers, you will see around, I would say, 100,000 atoms, maybe a little bit more, but only less than 1% is active to this, because only the surface atoms are actually interacting with your gas and your, let's say, three-phase boundary, because you also need liquid and you also need the ionomer at the same time. The stuff is very good, and it's perfectly stable, clear, can't go nowhere, but it's very inefficient. So, with this technology, you almost have no savings potential. Next generation looks a little bit better. You go from iridium to iridium oxide, because what you see is that when you use the electrolyzer application at the voltages where you actually operate them, it's not the iridium, but it's rather the iridium oxide, which is the active species on the surface. So why not make the whole particle out of iridium oxide? Iridium oxide, as a heavy metals oxide, is also quite conductive, so you can do this. You can dilute it by oxygen atoms, and you save about 50% weight, not atoms. When it comes to atoms, you save about 2/3, but iridium is very heavy in direct comparison to oxygen, so it's only 50% saving. You can save additional 5% if you tune the surface area and tune the particle stability and everything, but still, that's just an intermediate step, and that's not really the solution to what we you've seen, because we have to come down by a factor of 4 more. All right. And that's what we propose for today, and we have this production ready in our house, and it works very nicely. So what we just now do is that we use a carrier, which can also be a very good and robust, and you have to understand robustness in terms of electrochemical stability. Means that it has to withstand very low pH. In the case of the polymer electrolyte membrane, pH 0, it's like you have concentrated hydrochloric acid. It also needs to withstand some high voltages, no material to migrate from one place to the other. So it's the same as in fuel cell catalyst, where you also play with nickel and cobalt. These materials are stable on day one, but they're not necessarily stable for a long time, especially when you cycle those electrolyzers. And this material has to be a dead duck. It has to stand there, and it has to be the core, and it always has to be the foundation where you actually now put your active materials on. And that's what we developed, and you can see, you just take those 10, 50 nanometer particle, and then you coat it with a very thin layer of iridium dioxide. And now you have the needed iridium savings of 80%, and then we're quite confident that we can save even more, maybe additional 10% to really get this done. And here now comes the very important part, and if you would like to learn more, there's also the reference to the paper. We were able not only to produce this stuff, but also independently could show that these materials are really not only performant, but also very stable. So they survive over 40,000 hours in the electrolyzer, and that's the necessary thing, because if you have to open your electrolyzer every other day to remove the CCM, you directly see that operations and maintenance will eat you alive. And 40,000 hours is quite an interesting starting point. So, and if you would like to learn more, please tell me. I would like to, and also a few other products that we have in our precious metal system. We also have catalysts for hydrogen and oxygen post-electrolysis, where we also offer a few oxygen and hydrogen removal catalysts, where you actually then can purify the gases that you created, whether this is an alkaline electrolyzer or anything else. So it's a totally different product. And what we also have are a lot of precious metals catalysts for the ammonia, not only for ammonia cracking, as I already told you, or ammonia combustion, but also for green ammonia oxidation applications, where you also have ammonia oxidation, ammonia cracking. And what's also very important when it comes to usage of ammonia, for instance, in big engines and ships, you will always create NOx, and you can get rid of a lot of nitrous oxides. But one which is very important is the laughing gas, because this has a huge climate potential against even methane and all the other stuff. So you have to get rid of this even minute amounts you have to kill, otherwise you will have not much saving in terms of CO2 potential against normal burning of carbon-based species. All right, one final word. Everything has a limited lifespan, so once you are operating a precious metals waste system, you also want to get the value out at the end. Once the activity has fallen below a certain level and you need to maintenance your system. So what we also offer is that we can effectively recycle all the materials, also when they are on fluorine-based membranes. That's also core of our business, and you can already see we recycle all of those tonnage that you've seen on that primary production. We already recycle about 2 tons of iridium each year, and also over 25 metric tons of platinum. And this is a very important part because you also have to look not only in your direct CO2 emissions, but you also have to look into your indirect CO2 emissions. And if you take a closer look into your Scope 3 emissions and you use precious metals, you will have a big problem because they are very scarce. You have to mine a lot to get out only a minimum amount of precious metals. So the CO2 footprint of this is horrible. That's why it's always good to use recycling, and this is what we do since ever. And we would be happy also to come up with you, and if you want to have a closed loop with these very precious systems, also please think about this. All right, to sum this up, iridium is pretty much scarce, and it's a real threat to the commercial success of paramount electrolyzers. So what you actually need is low iridium catalyst that is not only active but also stable for a long time. The platinum-group metals can be used everywhere in the hydrogen economy, so you have a lot of applications where you actually would need them, not only in the heart of the electrolyzers or fuel cells, but also in subsequent gas treatment. And we're the guys to talk to if you want to have this. All right, and now I'm already at the end, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Neumann. And Q&A time again. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not fighting. At least not too hard.
Yeah, thanks. Just a question about the recycling.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's the recycling stream, and my key question is about the cost. Is it comparable with our virgin precious metal, or is currently higher?
I mean, our business model with regards to recycling is very clear. In the second, where you own the precious metals, so we guarantee you a recycling quota, and you bring this back to us, and you are all of the time you are the owner of the metals. You can also precious metals business is very special, so you can also have the precious metals account at our place, where you then put it in again, and you can also release it. You can even have financial products. If you don't want to own the iridium or the other stuff, you can also lease it from us. The only thing that you have to do if you lease it to us, you also have to bring it back to us. Otherwise, we would not be too kind to do it in the future. That's the part. That's the business model that's there. Everything with relation to I would say industry use of precious metals in their processes is always a closed loop business because you have a long-standing relationship with your precious metal supplier. Yes,
Thank you.
Something you must know.
Thank you.
Please. You have microphone in front of you. This one is where microphone. Yes. Thank you.
I see you mentioned that you will use PFAS during the springs or some kind of wanted to put your cascade on the membrane.
Yes, I mean.
When you do the recycling, you will face some kind of issues about the PFAS because critical situation comes.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Europe, the PFAS regulation is kind of a threat to everyone, I guess. Right now, it pretty much looks like that for small molecules, this will be a real issue.
Yes.
So no more allowance of things like CF4 or other stuff. For the polymers, it looks a little bit better. Now, what we have here, when we look at the ionomers of the membrane, or also the ionomers that we use it as a clue for the catalyst to really bring this towards the membrane, because that's what you need. You need proton transport, you need a healthy supply for the electrolyzer of the mineralized water, and you also need electronic transport. You need that's why I said it's a three-phase system that you actually have to get together, which is then optimized against each other. If you have a catalyst-coated membrane, this is all polymer. And polymers, when you want to recycle this, then precious metals have a much higher melting point than the degradation point of these fluorinated polymers, so that's the way to treat that.
We also grow polymer. Yeah. In the free state, I think it's no issue, but after we silent hours and at the reminder, some kind of degradation we have.
That's absolutely right. I mean, that's also degradation of the ionomer, and then you will also see a little bit of precious metals that might even move into the membrane and everything. This is, I mean, in terms of performance for this membrane, it's detrimental, so it's aging. Yeah? But nevertheless, it's manageable because you can get the stack out of each other, put new membranes in, and you're good again. The recycling of this material is also is kind of a straightforward thing. You just have to take care that you don't release the fluorine species into the ecosystem afterwards, or while you're doing the separation of precious part to the non-precious part.
So we're going to do the recycling at somewhere in Europe or in Africa?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of facilities. We're a global company. We have precious metals operation in North America, especially in Europe, where the foundation is, but we also have a very large facility with a strong focus in mainland China, in Nanjing. It's a very new facility, so here for the local economy, we would do everything within China. That's okay.
You comment on Iridium free catalyst. Do you believe it's ever coming, or you don't?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is always a question which is not too easy to answer. When it comes to stability, I think precious metals will be the gold standard, and that's the thing. If you mix precious metals and dilute them with non-precious elements, you will see that the non-precious elements, with the pH close to zero, they will take a while, but they will leach out of the system and go somewhere at some point.
Mr. Liu just said comments that
Yeah.
刘总，我觉得您说的是，我听到的是正确的，好像您说的是这个膜和电极，就是你是 stack， 觉得 stack break down before the 膜电极。He's saying the stack breaks down earlier than the membrane.
至少在2-3万小时会是大的。
And when
Yeah.
and maybe one comment to the other one. That's then now let's say the effectivity of the stack. So you can also use other metals if you get them stable, or other metal oxides. You can have also very stable metal oxides that then also start to become electrochemically active, but not at this low voltage that you can have with precious metals. And now you have to consider if you have a PEM electrolyzer operating at 70% electrical volt-like efficiency, or have something with non-precious, so then this is only operating at, let's say, 40% electrical efficiency, then you directly see that as a owner of a system, you will always like to have precious metals. It's pretty much the same thing as in the whole chemical industry. You can have a lot of catalysts, and precious metals are only used if the total cost of operation or for the product, and with regards to the energy consumption that you have, is lower than what you have without.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Neumann.